Shout out to everybody here on the live the day after Christmas. Hope you got what you wanted. Santa, baby. Let's see, Bitcoin taking a nasty dump, even though I had a nice setup. Got me tight. Let's see what happens here for BTC. I'm not too happy, though. I had a beautiful setup this morning, and they dumped it in my face. Let's see what happens. Hey, shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Crucial times for BTC. Struggling. It had a nice pump last night. Things are looking good. Santa, we thought Santa came, right? Everyone was like, Santa rally, baby. But no. And, you know, there's a big deal coming in today. If you didn't know, I'm going to give you the news. I'm going to keep you up to date with what's happening. You already know if you're in the Discord. So this is the Discord. Type of stuff that's already happened this morning. Look, a lot of action already this morning here on the Discord. A lot of stuff going on. I actually lost a trade. But December 26th is a major expiration date for crypto options with a record-breaking 27 to 28 billion in notional value for Bitcoin and Ethereum options expiring on Deribit, the leading crypto derivatives exchange. This includes weekly, monthly, and quarterly contracts representing over 50% of Deribit's total interest, with a bullish bias showing by a low put-call ratio at around 0.35 to 0.38. The expiry occurs at 8 UTC, which is what? That would be 3 o'clock our time, and expected to potentially introduce market volatility as positions reset, especially with BTC trading near 88K and ETH around 2950. It's being called one of the largest in crypto history. So I woke up to a beautiful flag on Bitcoin on the 1 hour time frame. I mean, this took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours to form. I mean, you could say, is it a good, you know, and it kind of has a head and shoulder there. It's that wavy. And the 21 touching the 200 on the 1 hour after consolidation. I'm taking that trade. I don't care. You know, I'm taking that trade. So I took that trade. And now, regretfully so, I have to see what happened to the pain. But it was a lot of pain. They dumped it fast and furiously. And I should have known not to trade a Friday. So there's my loss. There's my losses of $549. So kind of whack. I lost 99% of the position. They took me down. But it's so whack. Look, they just stop hunted me on a Friday. Just so whack. I wouldn't be surprised if we bounced right back up. But look, and they kind of did make it. The one thing I did say is I did catch it early. But I had to get ready. Like, literally, I took a $500 loss because I had to go put a tie on. Like, it was like, I got stuff to do, man. You know what I mean? I can't be worried about the market every 5 seconds. Well, look, I saw it before the dump. Like, right there, I caught it for you. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. Said it was going to take us down about 87,150 or more. I mean, it looked or to this chunk of liquidity, right? And then within, like, minutes, they took it right to that area. It's so crazy. And lower. So the head and shoulder prevailed, and here we are now. So we'll start the day. But dang. It feels, I got the sting of loss the day after Christmas. A beatdown. $500 loss to one of my bigger losses because I went hard, man. That's, when the 1 minute does that, I go hard. Like, to me, I had to. You know what it is I'll go hard one time on that and it'll take care of it all. So it is what it is. One thing I do have to say is today is a big deal for Bookmap. 30% off the lifetime first ever discount on Global Plus Lifetime. One-time payment, full access forever. The offer ends January 1st. So claim the lifetime deal. I think just get Bookmap for life. 30% off and get it for life. And never forget, never have to think about it again. Lifetime payment of a great program. It works absolutely well. It has been saying we're going lower. It's still got liquidity to the downside here at 81,650. And remember, when the markets are in and out and lack of volume, even this indicator is not going to work that well because it depends on volume. We need people to participate in the market to see where they're going. If people are not around and they don't follow through with their positions, then the market's just going to kind of skip and it's going to hang out. It's like, you know, what Bitcoin did today to me, which is whack. This was so whack. But again, I could have shorted the 15-minute head and shoulder. I seen it. I could have just gotten out right there, flipped to short, put a stop loss above the right shoulder, and been in the money. So it's on me. It's not on anybody else. It is what it is. You know? I could have had a tighter stop. It is what it is. But hey, dang, man. It's just crazy. Look nice. Anyway, the gold trade is ripping to the upside. Shout out to gold, up $2,000 on my gold trade. That takes care of the loss. Pads the loss a little bit. And if I just keep holding that Tesla trade, I think over time in the next 6-7 months, that's going to be a bigger trade too as well. So we'll see. Only time will tell here. Let's do our top-down analysis for Bitcoin. But this move was garbage, man. It really was. It was whack. Straight up, straight right back down. They just took 9 hours to raid the liquidity. And that's all it's been, man. No real good. That would have been a beautiful move. All I was looking for was this right here. Same thing. See, we were in the flag above the 200, touching the 21. I got that one. But they didn't let me catch this one. Dang. And the 21 never fully touched, I guess. So I guess I was slightly front running, but dang. You know, they never were. It was never completely in price action. So got to wait for the touch. Got to wait for the touch. Otherwise, you're going to come to the touch, you know. I'm tight. I'm in realization of tightness. But anyway, who cares? I have a blessed family. I had a blessed day yesterday. I hope you did too. Shout out to everybody out here on the live, kicking it with the lifer. We love you. We appreciate you. Let me take a look here at this chat and see who's hanging out with the lifer today. We got Reliable J. We got Joseph. We got George. We got Paulo Boyle. We got Crypto JNKZ. And dear Lord, thank you for taking me this far. I know you're going to continue to take me farther. Amen. I have nothing else to worry about. I have no other prayer. You know what I mean? It's like the Lord has done so well for us in this community, for me, for you. And all I have to do is keep doing what we're doing. And we're going to continue to make it into the next level, into the, wherever we're meant to be, we're going to be. And I'm going to stick to submitting to God in that nature. 1 hour looks like, to me, it's in a nasty bear flag, right? At the end of the day, I mean, look at this. If you had to place it, looks like to me like it just wants to go further down, right? I mean, I'm just observing. I'm not saying anything. I'm just looking at what I'm seeing. I mean, you dumped, you consolidated. Usually that, as if you pumped and consolidated. But we'll see. We're going to look at everything and break it down, get rid of the spaghetti for a split second, take a look at the monthly, and see where we stand. Shout out to everyone here. We got to stay calm and open-minded every single day. If we get into the day-to-day too much and too emotional, we're going to get lost. We have to it's very difficult, all right? And the less money you have, the harder it is because you're striving to change. You're striving to get out of that rat race. The boss is on you. You're sick of going to work. You don't want to do it anymore. I was there for years, friends. I got out of the rat race, had enough money to get out, didn't sell, had to stay in. You know what I mean? Like for a few months, I was like, all right, I can't wait. I'm going to tell my boss I'm out. I had the date planned and everything. My portfolio was ripping. I said, 1 more month, I'm going to hit $1 million and I'm going to be a millionaire. And I said, I can sell a couple $100,000. I said, I'll put that away. I'll live off that. I said, I've never had that much anyway. I said, I barely had, 30, 40 grand in my bank account. So I said, that will be more than I've ever had. I was like, and then I could focus on trading, pay my rent was small. See, I was so smart that I kept my expenses low. That's the key. See, I read a lot of books. The Richest Man in Babylon, right? A really key book to read. The Richest Man in Babylon. Such a simple book to read, right? I believe by Paulo Coelho. He also read The Warrior of the Light. He also wrote The Alchemist, right? So these are books you just got to read. Those 3 books, all of them. Warrior of the Light is really just a day-to-day reminder of who you are and where you want to go in your life, There's been amazing people on this earth. Someone's going to get born there's someone that hasn't even been born yet is going to live an amazing life. That's what I always say to myself too. Look, close your eyes and just envision the world like you're just watching it from afar. All the people that come, like the globe spinning, you're in space and you're looking down on the globe and you're seeing all the people that get born and all the people that pass and the cycle of all the lives. And say you're an infinite being watching this, or at least 1,000-year being, and you watch 1,000 years. Tomorrow, today, who knows? Sometime this week, someone's going to get born, and someone that gets born is going to live an amazing life. They're going to go after their dreams. They're going to have struggles. They're going to get over them. They're going to go after their dreams. Maybe they're going to write a book. Maybe who knows what they're going to do. But they're going to do something amazing with their lives. So, whenever I think about that, I said, why shouldn't it be you then? Why shouldn't it be me? Why shouldn't it be you? Isn't that an amazing thought? Like if it's going to be some random person out there, we don't know who it is. We still don't know. Like in the next 100 years, everyone that's here is going to be gone, and everyone that's born today, they'll also be gone. Kind of, right? But you know what I mean? In the next, let's say 60 years, everyone who's here now, the older, like I'll be 100 years old, right? Maybe I'll still be here. I might be 102 in 60 years. I'm with it. I believe I could still be here in 60 years. But like someone who's born today, isn't that crazy? Will end up being 60 years old. In 60, it's just fascinating to me. Like they'll be like, so we, whenever I just think about the human race, and I think of how. Here's another cool thought that I have. Say you went to Barcelona. Say you went to Lisbon, right? Portugal. Say you went to Dubai. Say you went to Boston. Say you went to Dallas. Say you went to Oklahoma, heck, right? And you just dropped in. And every single one of those cities, say, Australia, Brisbane, Australia, Bondi Beach, throw one more city in there, like Chicago, and then let's say just Paris, right? And every one of those cities, there's a multimillionaire. There's a guy out there who runs a business, who loves his life, who has a good family, right? I know, but that exists in every one of these cities. So why shouldn't I be the one in my city? Why shouldn't I be that guy? I always thought about that. And that's kind of like, whenever I thought of the randomness of life, I said, why shouldn't I be one of the random then? Like, you know what I mean? Dang. But again, it's not an accident. Life doesn't give you that by accident. You have to fight for it. Anyway, let's get back into BTC. But it's just a beautiful thought that I'm having. So swing up to swing up, swing down to swing down here on the monthly. It still is hidden bullish divergence. However, we could just continue to dump, take out this low, and it may not hold. I just want to put that out there. Like I'm more bearish on the day. Like the other time frames really got to show us. Yesterday they showed some promise. Let's see what they're gonna do later on today. The Alchemist is good, but I feel most people aren't aware of the negative occult undertones laced in there. Dang, you're funny, man. Greetings, Mr. Sam. Hope you had an amazing Xmas with your family. Thank you. Reliable Jose, Papito Feliz. Happy Merry Christmas. Super Merry Christmas. Thank you, man. Wow. Reliable Jose, you're funny. Papito Feliz. Yeah, I get it now. We're going to 95K today, bro. Wow. And sure, I'll exclude my own chapter. Tuberin, who cares, right? I don't know what that says. Who are we? German. Oh, my gosh. How was the volume today, Coach? How's the volume today? It's volume on the last 2 weeks of the year are going to be trash. Trash. Nobody cares, man. Everyone's skiing today. Everyone that has money went skiing, and some ski, you know what I mean, in the U.S. Or they came down to Florida, all right? Or they already live in Florida and they're living the life. Cha-ching, So I'm just saying, like, nobody cares about them. Nobody's watching crypto right now. We are the only die-hard people out here doing a show. Like, almost most people are taking the week off or the day off, right? So you're here, you're diehard. Okay, I just want to make that clear. 2-week chart looks bearish now. Like, it looked like it was fighting, and I like the wick, but I mean, it's about to break its support. 86,000, 86,550, I believe it was right there. This can 86,830 even a little higher. It's really on the 2-week support right now. That closes below 2-week support. I mean, you have to assume you're going to be dropping somewhere to 82,000. Same thing here. The weekly has the stronger support. It's about 86,000 even is where the resistance, where these candles, you can see where this candle opened, and it was 86.82, right? And then you can see these, so we're kind of testing weekly support. And to me, I mean, doesn't that look like a descending triangle on the weekly? So I'm getting bearish vibes for Bitcoin. I see how it could squeak through. I do. Like, there's a chance. I'm so bullish in the back of my head. I'm such a stubborn, biased bull, which I shouldn't be, that I always have this, like, you never know. But is it even that, or am I just open-minded because I know I have to be? Your thought process is so key in trading. It's so important. What I keep looking at on the 5-day is, like, this was a bear flag, and at this point, like, you've even lost the bear flag. You're dropping. You're starting to dump. Bear flag is starting to dump. Like, I'm just looking at the realization. They may go, but there's a low, and it's still holding a higher low. Yes, but it was a beautiful tweezer bottom yesterday. Things were changing. This candle looks so different just like 5 hours, just 4 hours ago. Everything looks so different. Bitcoin, dang you. Every time you look like you're going to hit back to 90K. 5-day chart doesn't look amazing. 3-day chart. I mean, yeah, like, it's got a when I really look at it now, it's got a descending vibe. Very descending-esque. And look, it's got shoulder, head, right shoulder. It now looks like a head and shoulder. Nice little dump. Reach out and touch somebody, right? Looks like it just wants to blah. Nice little dump peasy to the downside. So, I don't know. I'm seeing some people flip bullish on X now. People that were formerly bearish. It's crazy. The crypto fear and greed index, let's take a look at 20. And, you know, it's like, could it fall back into the 9s and 10s? We hit 70, 69, 67, and we hit 9, and that's the end. The only thing is, it's just like, how much more fear can you give us? Like, the bear markets don't stay in fear. Like, it's kind of like you start bear markets here and then run down. This is kind of like, we've been down here forever now. Like, we've been here for a long time. You can see last 3 months. 71, we came down. And, you know, right there, November 15th, we hit 10. And to me, I mean, you have to buy 10, right? And then we hit it again, 11. I'm like, how do you not buy? So I'm starting to buy Bitcoin again, and then it's, you know what I mean? It's like, I have to buy the fear. But when I said I buy Bitcoin too, I said I'm open, and I didn't buy 50 grand. I didn't buy a whole bitty. I bought 5 racks, you know what I mean? And I got another 5 racks to buy if we come down here. I just feel like we should always have some on the sidelines for Bitcoin. So the only thing I'm really doing is DCing into BTC again. I'm back into hibernation mode. I'm away from all coins. I'm keeping what I have, and everything else I'm just kind of like, you know. So this could, I mean, you could see, here's the hopium is, are you double bottoming here? I mean, you keep digging in. You do have to close a 3-day candle below, let's just say these 2 candles here, what, like 86,000. You haven't done it just yet. So we'll see. I mean, I'm always open-minded to a little bit of bullish hanky-panky here. You know what I mean? But it's got to be right. It's got to be right. All right. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Shout out to Stas. Silver goes up 5% in a day for no reason. And Bitcoin down 5% in an hour. Real nice. I know, crazy, right? But we have options expiry today. You know there was going to be funny business. I probably should have stayed away from the market completely, but I can't. See, the good thing and the bad thing, I think the good thing about it is I have a model. You know, and sometimes I take it no matter what. I got to tell, that this is my weakest part of my trading, is like I should just stay away on Fridays, man. Fridays notoriously stink. They're just not good. They have low volume. They don't follow through. You get nothing that happens like on Thursday, or it's just not the same. They're just not fun, you know. Honestly, this is so weird. It's like, could it be a cup and handle? Which last night it looked like we were bullish breaking out. I'm like, that could be a cup and handle that breaks out. Looked bullish to me. The 3-day was back above the 200 moving average. Or about to challenge it. It was getting close. Again, I wouldn't get bullish until the 3-day gets back above that key area. Really shouldn't open. I didn't open up a monster trade. That's another thing. I went a little bigger than I should have on a Friday morning. I have to be honest. But no monster trade. And the reason why no monster trade is because really 94K is just such a, like, that is just, we got to get back above this area here. These wicks here, this 94,000 to 90, this area has to, you got to use that as support, or we're in trouble, in my humble opinion. So, however you want to put it, to me, it's just setting up to be a descender. Setting up to be pretty bearish. That rejection today was so whack. Like, it's funny. It's like they know how a trader's mind works, because I'll see it look so sweet. Now, we still got the move of the smaller time frames. If you use my positional, if we just traded the smaller time frames today, it would have been beautiful, like the 1 minute or whatever. But we'll get to that in a second. So to me, look, I mean, resistance. This is definitely a trend line. You got to break it. You had it. We were outside. Looked like we were going to close a green candle today. They faked me out for sure. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you don't have much to think about, and you're only up for an hour. It's a little, I've noticed it's easy to get faked out the less you've been awake. So like once I've been waked up for 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, no. But when I just wake up and I see something, and I made a big boo-boo today. I'm going to talk about it. What was my big mistake today? I usually wake up, the first thing I do is my top-down analysis. Today I guess light. The family's off, we're off. It's an easy day. I said the 1 minute's in a perfect flag. I already looked at it last night. I said, we're good to go. Like, this thing's going to rip. I said the odds of this ripping are so high. And I just was like, I'm all ready. And I just left it at that. Maybe if I did a top-down analysis, I would have seen something different. And, 363 days a year, I do a top-down analysis before, like, between 7 and 8 in the morning. So I broke my rules today, which is weird. You know what I mean? So, hey. Jim Rohn said, I can do it. You can do it once in a while, but you can't do it twice. You know what I mean? You can't make it a habit, so I got to get back on the saddle. and spend that 7-8 minutes doing that top-down analysis. You see what I mean? Like, no matter how many times you've won, it doesn't matter. You've got to keep the structure going, otherwise it's going to break. Could we double bottom for more? I'm just so open-minded here. Seems to be so much pressure and support. They've been trying to break these levels for, since November 21st. Dang near a month straight now. We've just been playing games in a range. The low at 84, the high at 94. The low at 84, the high at 94. The low back there, the 87, the high at 94. Back down to 84. Now the highs are lower, though. You see? We can't seem to get back where we were before. Now we're, that tweezer top was bearish right there. You see that? And you got to see this as a kind of a deranged, drunken head and shoulder pattern. And that's kind of what a descending triangle is. It's a head and shoulder that's just like really messy. You'll see all this over time. It'll start to make sense the more you do it. Yeah, these both look so bare. The 12-hour, look at that. I mean, it's got kind of cat ears now in a way. And they've been doing a good job of making it look both ways. This has been the, look at it. I mean, look at it. Look at it. And I said the last 2 weeks of the year, last month of the year, are going to be so hard to trade. Like, don't lose your sauce trading this stuff. Take it from me, like, back up. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't think I say it should be taken from financial advice. But watch what happens to me. Like, if I get chopped up, it's like, dang. I do this every day, so. They're taking beautiful setups and just crunching them. Again, the 4-hour had to stay above that 200 moving average. This has been an ongoing move here. This has been consistent. Resistance, 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 resistance. We just can't seem to get above the 200 moving average on that 4-hour time frame. And I shouldn't even have longed until we got above that too, because you knew it was heavy resistance. So I did some things maybe that I shouldn't have done. You can kind of see this was a double top and I'm long in it. You know what I mean? So if I did my top-down analysis, the 4-hour might have scared me away from the trade. You see what I'm saying? So even I am fallible. I make mistakes. It's just, you know what it is? It's like you're so sick of it doing nonsense and you just want to see a move, right? You can almost see a double top there, but and on the 15-minute, it did show a head and shoulder pattern. So it's funny, despite me, quote unquote, being surprised, I was able to give the group, hey, warning, 15 minutes flashing a head and shoulder pattern. Like, once I saw this right shoulder, I was like, dang, that sucks. I put it out right here. I don't know if I was able to catch it in time, but it followed suit. And again, look, it's just a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder, Could even say complex, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, shoulder. You see that? It doesn't matter. And then there's a gap in the VRVP. Look, that's the gap. There's your liquidity. When you move up fast, you can come down fast. 2 quick candles, a big quick, you know what I mean? Dang, man. So some signs were there of what was occurring here. And they're using the 1 hour now like the 1 minute. They're just going after low, you know what I mean? Low volume. So today's a good day, another good day to stay out of the market, I have to say. And just let these options expire. 3 o'clock, I think, my time. And again, just turn off the screens, hang out with the kids, the family. If you don't have a family, maybe go for a walk. I love walks. I meditate. I think about my life. Think about kind of where I want to be, where I've been, what's been happening. So let's again look at what we're seeing. So the daily looked kind of bullish, like it was going to break out. Had 2 attempts, didn't do it. Now to me, it's got this bearish, this definitely diagonal resistance that it's now having a problem with. And it's going to have to break above it. And then you can see, and then what's your support? Right here, we have a bit of support. So you can draw that support line. It is 2 candles. It's not amazing as trajectory because you'd like to have a few more to touch to get this line, But, I can see it coming down. Now, if it can get back above this line, then things could change. I don't need that there. We have a POC anyway, right? And there's a dot there that's on my... No. I don't want to delete I want this dot gone. There we go. So we got to get back above this diagonal trend line. Bearish. And it's, it's a lower high. You would assume we're going to take out this low now. High, low, lower, high, lower, low. Like it's just, you got it. That's just how the game works. You either make a lower low or a double bottom. You see? You make the double bottom, you could pass. There's a chance. You know what I mean? So you're telling me, it would almost be a triple bottom. So there's always a chance. And it could be a bigger bottom. I don't know. But, there's a chance. But we got to take it one step at a time. Yeah. What were the top 5 books you said live? We're going to read all of them for 2026. Top 5? Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Number 1. Definitely have to read that. Okay. I like that. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. You got to have that. At least read it or have it on audio on YouTube, which is free. It's free on YouTube. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Okay. The Warrior of the Light. All right. The Alchemist, even though my man, who I really trust and love, said there could be some occult. You know what? There might be some stuff in there, but at the end of the day, it really is teaching you about money, man. Like don't overspend, and well, maybe there is some, it was written, has a bit of that. And then the last one, The Richest Man in Babylon. All right, The Richest Man in Babylon is very important. That one is the most that one will teach you a lot about money. It just basically tells you what to do. And I think I could teach anybody here how to become a multimillionaire. It's really simple. And you know what? If you stick around, I'm going to lay down my basically roadmap to becoming a multimillionaire. And I'm going to tell you how I did it. I'm going to teach you. And I'm going to show you how almost everybody here could do it. And it's going to be a valuable lesson. So if you stick around, we're going to give you that later on as well. So I think it's so amazing. And it should give you hope, inspire you, and get you going. Who's ready to get that? Who's ready to get that awesome information? All right. Emmett Fox, The Sermon on the Mount, my man. Emmett Fox, The Sermon on the Mount is another good one. Okay. Sam, you ever thinking about trading options? I read the Bible this morning when the sun came up. That sounds amazing. Just sounds blessed. Good for you, man. Bitcoin looking bearish. Hanging around 86.9. Richest Man in Babylon. Read it 3 to 5 times a year. Wow, that guy really goes in on that. Amazing. I should reread it too. There's always wisdom. As you get older, books change because you change. So the information in the book is the same, but it's read differently, right? You feel it differently. Someone might look at someone's mother might pass in a book, but your mother hasn't passed. So you're like, wow. Then your mother passes, reread that book again. I mean, it's going to be a completely different experience after your mother passed. And I wish no mothers. My mom has passed. I'm talking about myself, but you know what I mean. And just, you know what I see now too. Shoulder. Could you get you never know. But to me right now, I gotta say this is a symmetrical triangle. And they're 50-50, but they usually dump to the downside. They go the kind of chubbiest length here, this width where you find the width here. See how you find a nice base? That's going to be your measured move. Probably could drag you down to there, and then there is a high volume node right there. You see that? So this is a symmetrical triangle that could go either way. They mainly, in the last year on Bitcoin, 98, I'm going to say 2 out of 100 of these break up. So maybe we break up, but the odds are low. The odds are we're going to start to dump sooner or start to dump now. Remember, I told you about the head short yesterday. You're in the money now on that head short. I just want to mention that. Nobody really listens to me, I guess, but because I speak so much and I do so many live streams, a lot of the information gets lost. You know what I mean? It doesn't get isolated or picked out, but I just want to remember you guys. Remember with a head short. So possible Adam and Eve, could we dig in? You never know. I'm open-minded. Let's see where the day brings today. Let's see where the options expiry. Price action is going to probably bug out a lot, right? Options expiry is similar to a Fed day. Like, it's almost worse, actually. I'd stay away. Like, the big boys are going to be playing with the money. And there's a bunch of money on the line, so yeah, they don't want it at a certain price. Someone's going to have to pay up. So someone with more money is going to use their money. So if someone has to pay more money, say someone can see they own an exchange, and if it goes a certain way, they're going to owe like 500 million, or 2 billion, whatever it is. They can use $1 billion to do something to the market to try to pull it away from that expiry price, and then it could save them $1 billion. You see what I mean? So they use $1 billion to keep $1 billion, or to keep $2 billion. My whole, you know what I mean? There's so, and again, maybe I'm hypothesizing here, and it's probably way deeper than I'm saying. I'm not trying to tell you I know it all, but there's a lot of games going on. Remember, you're where you are, and you get to do what you do. Once you have more money, you're going to be the same person, but just with higher, more powerful moves. Like, what you do is going to affect more people and more places, right? The more money you make, the higher up you go in the food chain, and one day you might be that guy, fighting for the price of Bitcoin. And maybe not one entity can do it, but a bunch of them can get together on a very low volume Friday and definitely do something. So it is kind of set up in a pretty strange way to have the auctions expire on a day after Christmas. When you think about it, it's almost like a game. But yeah, there's 4 times a year that this happens, right? It's the third Thursday of the quarter, of the of the end of the quarter, right? So yeah, it's the third Thursday of the end of every quarter. Right? So September, so your first quarter, January, February, March. Okay? Right? 3 times 4. You have 3 months in a quarter. Right? I'm right here. I just want to make sure I'm not talking on. Yeah. And so March, the third Thursday in March, there'll be an options expiring. Right? And then we're going to have April, May, and June. Same thing in June. July, August, September. Right? And then October, November, and here we are in December. So this day happens 4 times a year. It's heavily volatile. It's an insane day. And so expect insanity. It's almost better off. Like, I can't even believe I probably should have remembered this and not traded as hard, right? 15-minute might make a bounce right back to the upside too. You never know. What are you looking at for now? Same thing we do here normally. You're looking for the 21 to come to price action and make a bear flag. Otherwise, it's going to bounce right back here, you see. Same thing we were doing yesterday, like after the pump, I sell, and then you're like, oh, maybe we dump or we go sideways. All right. And remember, you're going to lose. I lost today. Remember that. I want to remind you that I lost the day after Christmas, a $549 loss. Okay. Sam Price, me. I took a loss. It happened. Stinks. Okay. But it happened. I'm okay. I can survive. All right. I didn't lose the portfolio. I have definitely tether to back it up. And isn't that funny if you flip it upside down? I'm like, yeah, it was an inverted head and shoulder, right? It just, So it comes back to the 21 viciously, or it makes a flag and we pump. So you leave this up and you can come back and forth, but this is, this is how you can see 85,000 maybe likely. Let's take a look at what Bookmap's saying. Bookmap has kind of erased the lower volume, and now it's saying 90,000 is the best, is the more visible liquidity level. Crazy, right? Again, this has been a little harder to read during the low volume times. So just, because the order book can be manipulated. It's not Bookmap's fault. It's the way the order book itself is shaky, and Bookmap's taking its information from the order book. So there's nothing you can do about that. It doesn't matter, anything you're looking at. Nice oversold stochastic curving to the upside. You want to see that, right? RSI very low. Definitely a hard sell. Could propel us back to the 21 pretty fast. So only time will tell. I would watch here and look for a flag on the 15-minute to either continue the short or just watch it. Honestly, I would watch the show until 3 o'clock today. It'd probably be smart to get out of the way of the big boys and just let them do what they do, right? Because we don't run this market. I don't have billions and billions and billions. So 2 theologians, 3-3, but the Lord is faithful. He will strengthen you and guard you from the evil one. Amen. Don't buy, sell, go fast, buy gold and silver, and NVIDIA stocks. Wow. How do I ensure my barbecue? You're funny. I'm going to focus on winning today with my family. That's amazing. That's the key, man. Like yesterday was an amazing day to win with your family. Like everyone here. Like if you did, God bless you. Again, we talked about some people that were alone. We knew that. And shout out to all the lifers that, didn't have somebody to be with. Kind of an inverted, can we break out here? A little bit of bull div. Swing up while that swung down on the 1 minute. But you got some resistance now at 87, even right there at about 87.6. See, wherever you had this, like, however you kind of stopped and came down, you're going to have to get back above. Again, it's back to that old show. Medicine Crow. Yeah. Old Crow Medicine Show. That's what it was. So look, I mean, there's the model on the 5 second. Imagine trading the 5 second today. I'm not doing that, but. And again, we got to get now we got above the 200. We touched the 21. Now we got to do it on the 30. This has to boom all the way back to the 200. And we got to do it on the 1 minute. It's just that same old story, right? And it's kind of the, it's interesting. I've done this thousands of times. I've watched price action do the same thing over and over again between 9 and 11 o'clock. You think I get bored of it? But it just kind of, it's what I do. I'm just set in the motion now, running the stream, doing I'm just kind of set. Maybe one day, I don't know when it will change. God continue. Dear Lord, I love the streak that we're on. I'd like to go 4 more years, dear Lord, double the streak, and then we'll see where we're at. But whatever God has in store, I will submit to the Lord and continue to do God's will. And whatever God has planned for me, I'll be very grateful for. And I know great things are coming because God is on my side and God believes in me. I believe in you. And because that's how it is, that's how it is. You know what I mean? Like, I will wake up tomorrow in good spirits. I will find a way to win. Even if I lose, I will find a win from that loss. I'll look at something, some way, somehow. I'll adjust. I will tweak. And I'll come back even stronger than I did before. You know what I mean? There's no other option. There's no other option. Because if the option changes, then it's defeat, right? And it's a life not worth living, and that's not happening. So there's one of two things that are going to happen to me. I'm going to thrive and amazingly, or I'm going to, fall in pity and not achieve anything with my life. I'm just not going to let that happen. The latter is not an option, right? Because why? So all I have to do is have a positive thought constantly, keep pushing, keep believing. Look, this is a little bit of a bear flag here. This could continue to dump down to 85,000. I'm being a little bearish today because price action just doesn't look amazing. And remember, they said it's overly bullish on the expiring. So if they push the price down, they're going to wreck a lot of positions too. So I don't know. I'm hypothesizing, which I probably shouldn't be about price action. I'm actually kind of like, let's watch the show. This day happens 4 times a year. We should just watch the show. And if you have an inkling in one of your, something, I mean, this does say to short right now. It says get in now with a stop loss like above maybe. Put the yellow line like right there, 87.574. And I mean, that looks like a bear flag to me. Looks like a perfect bear flag, but hey, you never know. And I traded the worst day of the year to trade. So, and I learned my lesson. Write it down. I traded expiry options where they were hunting and running around and playing games on low volume. And so I wonder why my beautiful, but it took 10 hours to make that beautiful, this beautiful flag here that they bagged eventually. Even this was nice. It was on the 200 above. Even that, it's funny. Everything looked nice. Even the right shoulder had they had it. Isn't it funny? That's a bull pennant. That breaks down only 30% of the time. So crazy. It's so crazy how you can see the gap in the VRVP. Look how it goes one doom. Like, the VRVP is just amazing. Just never lies. It's your ICT in your pocket. You know what I mean? It's like ICT without knowing ICT. It's amazing. Because the gap's going to line up. Where it goes is where it goes. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science. Where it goes is where it goes. I used to think, how could that be possible? I look at the VRVP and I'm like, how could I know where it's going? Like, simply every time. And again, doesn't mean you're going to hit. But look, you lost the 200 moving average in the 1 minute. Just bang. Just like when we gain it. And you're like, but Sam, you lost. I did. I played the 1 hour. I didn't do my top down. But even then, if I did my top down, I would have seen some bullishness here. Once we crossed the 200 though, and I did see the head and shoulder on the 15. I didn't double down. I didn't go deep in, you know. I knew I was probably going to get stopped down. I went and put my tie on. And I started the show. Paid $500 to put this tie on. It is what it is. It happens sometimes. You can't win every day. If you expect to win every day, then you're going to be pretty disappointed. If you expect to have ups and downs, but you're going to win no matter what, you're going to make it, right? And so that's kind of the key to life, right? In my humble opinion. Not knowing what's going to happen, but having faith that the best outcomes will happen. And knowing that if they don't, you're still going to make the best out of it no matter what, because that's the type of person you are. No matter what happens, you're going to make the best of it. Your mom dies, it's sad. But are you going to mope around the house and be the worst during Christmas and Thanksgiving because your mom died on Thanksgiving? No. You're going to remember how great she was to you on Thanksgiving, all the effort she put in, and you're going to put that same effort into your kids. You owe it to them to do what she did for you. You know what I mean? That's my life. So like every time you want to revert back to having pity for yourself, remember that's just not the answer. It never was. It never will be. And anyone that wants to put you down and keep you down is someone that doesn't love you. And I know people that tell you they love you every day, and they're actually the worst form of medicine for you. They don't care for you, or if they do, they don't care about themselves enough to care about you the right way. They may be related to you. They could be someone you're in a relationship with. Some people end up in a relationship with people. They give up on themselves. Once that person gives up on themselves and becomes a zombie, like they can't really give you, you know, the love that you're looking for. And now you're left, and this never happened to me. I'm blessed. I'm not talking, it sounds like I'm talking about my life. No. My wife is amazing. She energizes me like the Energizer Bunny. She's such a hard worker. She made a, what did she make yesterday? She made a beef tenderloin that she had never made in her life. She made it so amazing. She let it sit in the fridge overnight with like a mustard, garlic. Oh my God. You couldn't taste the mustard. That was like the way to break through the skin to get like the salts and all the oh my God. And we had a beef tenderloin last night. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. With sweet potatoes and homemade bread with Brussels sprouts. And it was amazing, man. It was amazing. Shout out to my wife. Then she made a homemade apple pie from scratch. You know? Unreal. And then asked me if it was okay. Did she do well? And like always, she's such a sweetheart, man. God bless my wife. If I always say if the whole world had a wife as good as mine, then like people just wouldn't be that upset. Because if you came home to someone as loving as my wife, how the heck could you be mad at other people? Like, even if you lose some money, I always tell her I lost. Like today, I'm going to tell her I lost money. She'll say, no worries. That's your life. God loves you, you know. Don't worry about it. She never stresses me. There was times when I was like really struggling as a trader. We lived in one bedroom apartment. And I told her I really needed to take 6 months off of work. And I needed to go after my dreams. You know. And she was working as a teacher. I had worked for a long time. And she said, you know, I want you to do whatever makes you happy. Like, and I got to stay home while she worked. A really true story. I still was making money other ways, but you know, I did my thing, but I was able to trade for 6 months. 6 months by myself as if and find out what was it like. Because I have to be honest, man, before you go out as a trader, it's nice to have a safety net. So like I knew the rent was paid for the next year. We didn't have tons of money. I didn't have huge amount of savings. But I was done like not taking a chance. Like I kept doing the same thing because I didn't have enough savings. I kept saying when I have enough savings, I'm going to do. When I have enough savings, I'm going to do. I never had enough savings, so I never did. That went on for years. I told myself things I was going to do that I never did because I kept waiting for life to be better than it was. But it doesn't work like that. You know, like I was like, we were going to have kids. I kept saying, well, I'll have kids when I have more money. I don't have enough money right now. I used to tell my wife. I said it at 27. Then I said it at 28. Then I said it at 29. Then I was 30. And my wife said, if you don't have kids soon, she said, you'll have kids when you're 40 years old. And when they're 20, you'll be 60 years old. You know? You know, when you're 70, they'll be 30 years old. Like, it's like, that's what happened to one of my kids. She'll be 2. When I'm 43, she'll be 2 years old. You know what I mean? So in 30 years, I'll be 73. She'll be 32. You know, I'll be pretty old dude for her. You know, she'll be still pretty young, right? I'll be like old daddy. But hey, man, I'm happy. I'm not regretting. I'm so blessed. Our baby is, because we're older. We're 42 and we have a baby at home, and none of our friends have a baby at home. The people that are in their 20s and their 30s. It's rarer these days for someone in their 40s to have a baby at home, right? And so I'm so blessed that I had a third child later on in my life. And that was the first child that I truly did. You know, all my other kids, like me and my wife had. That kid, I said to my wife, I said, I'd like to have another child. Like, and she said, you know. And she said, it's really hard for me. Pregnancy is not easy. We actually talked about it. And she said, you know what, let's you know. So our third kid, like, we planned out. Our other two kids were never planned. They just kind of happened as they happened. And the third kid was the one that I actually said, hey, I'd like to have a child. Like, first time in my life, you know, and that's how I knew I was a mature man. Like, but it took me way too long. It took me to 42 years old. Like, at 25, I should have been ready to have a child. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just think society had dulled us down. And that's why we have a lack of population now, too. It's kind of like we were brainwashed to think that we didn't have to populate, man. I should have had 10 kids. And now, look, you can see the world is struggling with population right now. It's a serious thing. It's serious. You know, I know so many men my age that don't have kids. Many of my friends that I grew up with, and like say there was 10 of us that all used to hang out together, like if we got into a big group. And of the 10 of us, one has one kid. My other buddy has two kids. My other buddy has two kids. I had 3. And then I know 1, 2, 3, like 4 that don't have any kids still at 42 years old. And I know 2 that aren't even married yet. So it's like, you're not married at 42. And again, I know a guy that got married at like 45 to like a 38-year-old woman, 32-year-old woman. And then he had kids and he was happy. It can happen. It's not the worst. There's always hope. Start today. You know, if you're a late bloomer, start today. Have some kids. My name is Sam Price, and I approve this message. Procreate out there. And to the young men out there, we need you more than ever. We need you to mature up fast. We need you to get off the internet, get off the PORN. We need you to get off all the nonsense, all the distractions. We need you to focus. We need you to find a beautiful, attractive, intelligent woman when you're like, you know, hopefully in your early 20s. We need you to get married early. 3-4 kids by the time you're 30. You know what I mean? Finish off in your mid-30s to like 6, 7, 8 kids at least. All right? If every man did this that was on stream today, we could have thousands more kids to take over the world, man. Healthy, beautiful kids, you know? So, can we get this bounce here for Bitcoin? The ugliness. Let's see, though. The 5-second did hold above the 200, kind of barely. 30-second now has to rip to the 200 and then cross it. Just sit here and watch the 30-second for the next hour. It'll tell you what's going to happen, you know. If you're that type of guy. I am. Sometimes it depends on the day. Say it's like the middle of trading season. It's been heavy. We've been in and out. I've already taken 2 or 3 trades that day. I'm ripping. I'm looking for more. And I'm already content. Like on a day where I've made a few thousand in the morning already and I'm looking for like my next 500 to 1,000. I'll sit and watch the market more because I'm already, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, and I'll just wait patiently because I've already eaten. I'm chilling. If I've had coffee that day and the coffee's kind of coming down, as the caffeine's coming down, I get into this like real calm state, just looking at the market, just sitting, pondering. It's good to have audiobooks on. That's why I love trading. You can always listen to audiobooks while you trade. And there's nothing wrong with that. So you can be hearing, learning, expanding your knowledge while you're also doing what you love. So to me, trading is great because you don't need your ears to trade, right? You don't need to be like, I'm just joking. Sorry, I'm just joking. I'm sorry. It was like an unexpected cough though, which I've been having more of recently. Does seem strange. One of my daughters had pneumonia, and they say it's contagious. I hope I don't even have the beginnings. I don't think so. I don't want to scare you. I'm okay. So 87,249. I got to look at the chat now. Look, that looks like a double top. I mean, you just can't seem to get back above some key levels here. It's almost like, if you are my student, which you are, and I loved you, which I do, I'd tell you to go touch grass today and stay away from this insane market. But I've said that many times, and then I've looked at the group and I've seen guys just opening up trades, talking. People are in different parts of the world, different sections, you know, and other people, it's the next day. They're in Dubai already. They're 12 hours ahead of me in Singapore. In Singapore, it's 11 at night, right? Sunday night, it's Sunday night. I don't know what the heck date it is. It's today's Friday. Today is Friday. We got this is one of the wackiest weeks ever. Let's just take a look at the week ahead, just to peek, see what's coming our way. I don't even want to put it on my head, but we might as well just take a look. What are you doing to me? There we go. Okay. Monday, the 29th. Crude oil inventories kind of does something to the U.S. oil, which could throw, you know, it has to do something to Forex, you think. I don't know, like Chicago PMI, FOMC minutes. The minutes actually usually do something. Minutes, yeah. Unemployment claims coming in on Wednesday at 8:30. And then we got the bank holiday because that is January 1st. Everyone is closed. New Year's Day. Okay. And New Year's Eve is Wednesday. Again, less people are going to be in the market. This week is going to be another slow week in the market. Like, people take these weeks off. Like, my kids have this week off too. They don't go back to school until the 6th. So the 4th is 5th. I guess they go back on the 6th of January. I guess they have another 2 days off coming into the end of I don't know why that is. Anyway, and if you want to jump on in, I do teach class tomorrow. So if you're sitting home and you're like, you know what? I don't understand everything the lifer says. I love what he teaches. I want to know more. I'd like to be a part of the class. Jump on in. It's $150. It's going to go up next year. We're going to do a few different things to the class. So this is kind of like a holiday discount in a way. Hit the QR code. There's still time to jump on in. It's tomorrow from 9 a.m. to about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Time. All right, like New York City time. Now, so 9 a.m. to 12:30 tomorrow morning. If you would like to jump on into class, let me know. Email cryptolifers@gmail.com. All right, or hit the QR code. It's going to be an amazing class. We already got a pretty good group of people in, but I wouldn't mind throwing a few more people in there. It makes it funner and more interesting the more people we have. So jump on in today. I can't wait to see you in class. Could be the last thing you do. Could make it your New Year's resolution to really start to learn cryptocurrency. Today could be your day where you finally take a course or a class. You may never did it before. You may never learn from anyone before. You've watched the stream, you're intrigued, but you want to really get a concise idea of what I'm doing. You want to slow down and learn step by step. That's going to really break it down for you. All right. And I've combed the internet. What I teach, man, I'm not trying to say it's a guarantee because I can't do that. But what I know is from my knowledge, and I've been around and I do this every day, I haven't seen what I put together so nicely and organized, where you can then follow it up with a PowerPoint and relearn what I said. You can rewatch the video that you get. And I've never seen it so, at such a premium, beautiful, affordable rate. Like, I've never seen just premium information at an affordable rate in my life when it comes to technical analysis right there. Like, never. So, my name's Sam Price. I love presenting this information. That's why I'm plugging it so hard right now, because I really believe it can change your life. So, it's up to you. You do you. And I would love to see you in there. So, yeah. Can we break out of this? Here we are. Ascending triangles are actually mostly bearish, but we'll see. I mean, mostly 50%, not bearish, but they go kind of the way they've been going. So if you've been pumping or you've been dumping, I expect more downside, just more bearish right now unless Bitcoin gets us back to the regular where we were, and then we can see from there, Average duration 1333. Always the 333s, baby. Always. So remember, end of the year, less people viewing. People are out right now. Even a lot of our viewers that are awesome watching right now, they're with their family, they're hanging out. Or they're traveling, you know, and they're going to take some time off from the market. That's just how it is. Me, I just can't do that because I am the market. It's like I am the market. Like the market is in me. And I'm someone with a bit, you know, maybe it's OCD, whatever it is. I just have to keep doing what I've been doing. That way I know I'm going to keep doing. If I even take a couple days off, I feel like it could, who knows? It would give me the heebie-jeebies. I would start to wonder, like, is this regular? Am I going to start taking a couple days? You know what I mean? I just can't have that thought. My only thought is that tomorrow I'll be here. And every night I have that thought before I go to sleep. Tomorrow I'll be here. I'll face the music to whatever trade I put out. I'll show you my wins. I'll show you my losses. I'll do what I got to do. And I'll be as real as I can every single day. And I'll believe in God and put my life in God's hands. And I've done that for the last 4 years. We haven't missed one day. So God's been pretty good to me, if you ask me. You know, the consistency is how everything else in my life has been built. All the success you've seen, anytime I win a trade, it's because I show up more often than not. You know, anytime I take a small loss or a proper loss or the stop loss, it's because I show up more often than not. You know, anytime you win more than you're supposed to, it's not luck. It's because you created the preparation for the luck. Luck is not something you create luck. People that aren't hard workers, see, when I wasn't the hardest worker in the game and I lived a mediocre life, which I did, I have to be honest, I didn't always go so hard. I was in comfort. I wanted a job that paid me just enough, that didn't take too much of my effort, so I didn't have to work too hard. You know, and I didn't want to get myself too overexcited. I didn't want a lot of pressure and I didn't want a lot of responsibility. I sure as heck didn't want my own business. I'd have to work every single day. I wanted a job I could stop on the weekends and go hang out with my wife. We could take hikes. It was nice to actually work for someone else for a while. I'll be honest. Because when I went away and when I was on vacation, and I want to say this because I remember when I did work for someone else, the only beautiful thing that I truly liked about it, and honestly, let's be honest, it was a small piece of freedom. But when I was away for like the weekend, it kind of ended. My life now, when I'm away for the weekend, like I still got to, something we got to check on the website, you know, is this running? Is that going on? How's the Discord? You know what I mean? And I'm always working. Like, what's up with Bitcoin? What's up with the charts? What's my trade going on? I'm always in a trade. I'm always working. So it never ends. Now, back then, you know, when I was in the woods, I was in the woods for a couple days, you know, and I could take a whole weekend away and just be away, right? So now it's been 4 years since I've done that. I've worked really hard. And I'm sure at one point, maybe I don't know when it's going to be, and I'm not going to mention it because I don't know. You see what I mean? The streak is, when you get on a streak like I'm on, you take care of it like a little baby bird, man, because you know how fragile life is. So if you're on a streak, in a chaotic world where anything can happen and you've been able to nail a 4-year streak, you protect that like a baby bird, man. You protect it like an egg. You know how like in hockey, you ever seen the movie If You Didn't Do It, but if you did play hockey, sometimes they give you an egg and they tell you to like, if you don't break the egg, then that's the kind of touch you should have with the puck. You know what I mean? Because if you have that much touch with an egg, then you're going to be amazing with the puck. And so I treat this streak, my community, each and every one of you like an egg. My relationship with you is like an egg. I don't show you a garbage coin. I might take a shot sometimes on a coin that doesn't go well and I get hit. You might, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I don't chill. You know, people can't write me an email and say, hey, talk about my coin for this amount. I won't do that. I'm not going to lower and lose my reputation or my channel's reputation for anybody. Okay? We're going to stay true to ourselves and true to everybody out here day in and day out. Because you guys are awesome. You guys show up every day. The community is what gave us everything we have. You know, you ever start a channel, you ever start something like I have, and you don't put your community first, that's it. It's over for you. And so if you put God first, God's going to help you put the people first. Your community's made of people. So in my humble opinion, it will just be, you'll work harder if you put God first because you'll know God's watching. You'll believe there's someone always watching. You don't get away with anything. You know what I mean? When you believe in God, there's no getting away with anything because you're always, there's always, there's a check and balance all the time. We talk about consciousness, or not conscious, but we talk about having a conscience. A conscience. You know what I mean? Like when you were a kid and you stole something or did something you shouldn't have done or hit your brother or sister and your mom said, "Why'd you do that?" You felt bad. Even my daughter, she's a year and a half. She pulls hair. We see her do it. It's her little thing. And she pulled my daughter's hair yesterday, the 4-year-old. She likes to come behind her and kind of yank. And she knows. She runs away after she does it and hides somewhere. She knows it's wrong. She's a year and a half. She already has a conscience. She's already developing her, what's right and wrong. She knows. And if we start learning at that age, imagine, where you're at now if you're watching the show. So my dad taught me something that was really special. He said, I'd get in trouble sometimes, or I almost got in trouble, or sometimes I almost got in trouble, but I didn't. But a friend of mine did, and he heard about it. And sometimes I did get in trouble at the beginning here and there. One thing I can remember really bad is like one time there was a kid living at the end of my road when I was like 9 or 10. And his dad owned a house. And I guess his dad had some like old windows on the side of the house. And they had been sitting there for like a year just outside kind of like. And my buddy thought it was funny to throw a brick or something and break one. And so I threw a brick or two and we broke some windows. And who knows why that wasn't too smart, right? And we broke some glass. I was like 9 or 10. It was at the end of my road in a real rural area in Massachusetts where you could my parents they let me kind of roam around there. There was no one living there. There was like 7 or 8 houses on my road and a bunch of farmland in the middle of nowhere. The guy's dad came to my house and said, him and my son and your son broke the glass. And I think like the kid had to sleep over that night because his dad had to go somewhere. And even, it was already like, so even though we were in trouble, he had to sleep over. And my dad was kind of like drinking at the time. And I remember like not even really getting in that much trouble. You know what I mean? And so there was some lack of discipline sometimes in my house, like depending on like how much alcohol people were drinking. You know what I mean? Other times I got a whooping. Don't get me wrong. Like there was other times where it was just like cold winter. That was in the summertime too. My dad was a little forgiving in the summer, right? He had just come off working in Boston. He was having a few beers. He was relaxing in his defense. Now in the wintertime in Boston, that was a different story. He'd come home and I had a bad report card. Oh my God, man. I was so afraid. He had a black pickup truck and I would hear it come up the road. It had a certain, the V8 of that Chevy. And I knew my dad was coming. And I had already showed my mom my report card and it wasn't good. And I've been hiding my bad test scores from them when I was like 9th or 10th grade or something. And my mom knew my dad was going to like go crazy. And I knew I was going to get a whooping. And she's looking at it and I'm looking at it and I'm like, and I hear my dad's car pull up and I'm just like, and I go into my room and I hear him come in and I hear him talk to her for a second and then I hear him see the report card and then he's like, "Come out here." And oh my God, like, oh my God. Oh my God. He would yell at me, then he would yell at my mom, then would yell back at me. It would turn into like a 2-hour scream fest of just insanity. It was insane. And I still did bad on my report card sometimes. You think I would stop doing that to like save myself from the pain, but like I just wasn't, I didn't want to sit in, like I had ADHD, man. I couldn't sit there and look at look at things I didn't want to see, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. Like, again, I lacked discipline a lot of my life and it got me in trouble, everybody. I ended up living a life I didn't want. I ended up not having a lot of money because I wasn't disciplined with my money. I had some credit debt I wouldn't take care of. I wouldn't want to look at it. I was the type of person that didn't want to look at my bank account because I knew it was always low anyway, so why even take a look? I'd get a bit of money and then it would kind of sit there and I didn't want to look at my credit debt because I knew it was there. So I paid the minimal, like, and I was paid a minimal $40 a month. It would take you 30 years to pay off. You know what I mean? I've been there, man, for years. Like, I neglected my finances until I learned about gold and silver and I started buying gold and silver. One thing I did do though, is even when I had credit debt, I still bought gold and silver. Like say I had $7,000 in credit debt. Because I read Billionaires and Millionaires, they were like, we would hold debt, but we'd rather buy investments and not pay the debt off. Whether it was a good idea or a bad idea, I did that for a couple of years, and it did work out. Like Bitcoin was, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and I had maybe 3, 4, or 5,000 in credit debt, and I paid the minimum, and I bought Bitcoin, and it paid off because the Bitcoin went way up, right? And then the credit debt, I slowly took care of it over time. But I struggled for years with money. I wasn't always perfect with it. I didn't just wake up good with money. But what I did do is I strived to be good with money, and I made mistake after mistake. I saved money, invested in the wrong thing. Saved money, wasn't good at saving. Saved money, used too much of my savings for something stupid. Saved money again, then finally saved money, put it in investment, won. Saved money, put it in investment, and won. Then I started to win, and I was like, okay. It all started with saving money. And it all started with a job. Everyone thinks like, oh, you just become an entrepreneur and no. Everything for me started with working for somebody else and saving what I earned. And that's so again, let's get to what I was going to talk about at the beginning of the stream. Remember I said I was going to talk about how I could help anyone become a multimillionaire? So Bitcoin's in option expiry today. It had a nasty dump and now it's consolidating into a bear flag. If it crosses the 30-second 200 moving average, you have a chance to break back to 87.7. If it stays sideways here, we could be rolling over back to 85. We are watching the 30-second chart. It is giving some decent information. You could also watch the 1 minute. They're pretty close in price action right now. So I just want to make this clear as I go off topic and talk about how to become a millionaire, the way to do it. Because, and I'm not guaranteeing you become, I'm just saying I'm going to show you the blueprint of how to become a millionaire. And while we're doing this, we're seeing if Bitcoin can kind of get back in. This might make a shoulder ahead. This might just make a right shoulder right here. You see? This definitely could make a right shoulder and dump in our face. So just be careful. To me, it looks more bearish than bullish. But it's been insane. And today is options expiring. What is that? Some people are like, huh? We went over it, but we'll go over it again for you because why not? We're nice. And we provide information here for free every single day. And we don't want you to lose because you didn't know something. That would be rude. So December 26th is today. It's a major expiration for crypto options with a record-breaking 27 to 28 billion in notional value. I believe notional means it's like leveraged, you know what I mean? And we could look at that up. Yeah. And options expiring on Deribit, the leading crypto derivatives exchange. This includes weekly, monthly, and quarterly contracts representing over 50% of Deribit's total open interest, with a bullish bias shown by a low put-to-call ratio around 0.35 to 0.38. The expiry occurs at 8 UTC, which they're 5 hours ahead of me. That would be 3 o'clock my time. So in 4 hours, 3 hours and 40 minutes. No, 4 hours and 40 minutes, sorry. It's expected to be the potentially introduced market volatility as the positions reset, especially with Bitcoin trading near 88 and Ethereum around 29.5. This is being called one of the largest in crypto history. So just be careful today. It might be a good day just to not trade at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they rip this sucker right back to the upside now, just kind of playing games with people who are doing last-minute options calls. Also, today's very similar to Fed Day. More people than ever today are going to go short and long. They're going to put a short here in case. They're going to put a long here. They're going to be all over the market with crazy liquidity. They might get stopped out both ways. They might, you know what I mean? It's just, we have no idea. It's going to be crazy. I'd like to let the dust settle. Smart move is really to trade January 5th, or something. I mean, we'll watch the market every day, but market is heavily volatile. So I think I'm giving you everything I can here for BTC. Let's kind of move on to look at the broader market, but it doesn't look amazing. Meme core, that's been up and down. I don't really touch it. To me, it's just too risky. My X has been interesting. It is up 18%. And we did put a little, someone asked me to go over it yesterday. We'll take a look back. I've loved Bitcoin Cash since it was in that 500 area. It's up nicely in 24 hours. It's been consolidating beautifully. And that's actually one of the only calls in the trading group on altcoins right now. Hyperliquid, I sold it all off in the 40s. Very happy I did. Near, I sold it off at $2 at 190. Very happy I did. Cosmos, I still hold because I've had it for so long, but it's very annoying. Aster, dang, still hold, but, don't have enough of it to care. But dang, 69. It doesn't matter, Jupiter, man, that thing, remember, the altcoin market's strong when Jupe hits $1. That's every time Jupe's $1, the altcoin market's been strong. And Midnight's been actually holding pretty well at 77, up 19% in a week. which is that, that spinoff there on the Cardano network with, Charles Hoskinson. Hedera, 00, only thing that really was a newer coin on my radar, but I don't play around right now. So yeah, like, and look, SCI sold it all off in the 19s. You know what I mean? Yes. Wow. I still hold Solana. I sold all my render off at $190, $2. So happy I did. You know what I mean? I had big positions. It would have lost serious more money. Ondo sold it all off in the 69, 70. I was done when it came back to break even after holding it for months. So happy I did. And you say, well, these are the prices to scoop these awesome low valued projects. I used to scoop too many and have like 40 coins. Now I'm just going to be more centered in like 10. I get it now. Like, I understand why people used to do that. Pippin actually had a really good month, up 35%. And it actually was one of the hottest coins to trade recently. Canton too, the CC has been interesting, up 26%. And then we can just see the week too, what's hot on the week, just to see what's broadly has a better move. Yeah, Pippin, Canton, Midnight, MyX, Sky, Merlin. So there's been some swing trades there. 20% in a week is great. And with some 3x, that's 100%, 2x, I'm just saying. Thank you for all you do. Can you look at Banana, please? Yeah, well, when things get back up and running, Banana does move. Look, this could be the pump back to the 200 on the 1 minute. Is the 30-second now above the 200 moving average? It is. See this? So remember, whenever we get a nasty dump, the 1 second I kind of like whatever's, but the first thing that has to happen is we'll dump straight down. Look. Then we'll start trying to get back above the 200. Then we'll cruise above the 200. We'll make the flag with the 21. That should be the catalyst for the move. I've just learned this. And then the same thing will have to happen here on the 30. When you get a pump, we'll have to pull the 21 with us. We'll eventually have to flag out with the 21 touching, and we'll move out. And then we have to come to the 1 minute. And then the 1 minute, sorry, don't need that. Slow me down, baby, no. And then the 1 minute has to get to the 200 moving average and cross. Then we have to do that on the 5 minute. Right, then the 10, then the 15. Sometimes it's similar areas. And then the 1 hour. And then we can say, okay, we're reversing. Now, there's two ways to do this I've learned. One way is just a front run. Someone could open a trade right now with a stop below this wick and just front run that they're going to rip this thing right back to the upside. To me, very high risk on an options expiry today that they might dip and grip. You never know. But that's one way to trade. Right now, you open with a stop below there, or you at least wait for this to close in 35 minutes. All right, and then if you get a tweezer bottom, you take it, just like this one. Yesterday, if you waited for this to close, and right when it closed, you open up a trade, bang, you would have rolled that puppy out. I'm just saying, you know what I mean, with a stop below those 2 wicks. If you did it here, right when this closed, you got in right there with a stop below these wicks, you would have made it. That's a nice trade right there. If you did it here, when this closed, you got in, Again, this might have moved pretty quick. I don't know how, so you never know. But even if you got anywhere in there, you still got to move. This one was a little too hard. This one did pay off too as well. It played you a little bit though. It would have been, if you moved to break even, you would have been kicked out. This one, perfect. You got in here once this closed, you were able to ride. That would have maybe stopped you out on your ride up. This one was perfect. You got in right there after there and you got the run up. This one was perfect. You got in right there with a stop below, you got the run up. You only need to win 3 out of 10 of these, and you can see I bet like 50% of the last ones hit. This one was beautiful. You got in somewhere here. So what happened to me was I started doing all these lines and waiting and 21, and it was great. Don't worry, I still love my moves. But the price action got funky. They started going after people in small time frames. And I'd be, what the real truth to me was I was traveling more, right? I was traveling to Singapore, Lisbon the last fall, and I didn't have time to sit there on the small time frames. I didn't know when I was going to lose internet sometimes. So I needed to be able to make a trade that would last 10, 12 hours so I could get off the flight and see where I'm at. So I started trading, so I'd be in the airport. I'd see tweezer bottoms. And I'd just be like, all right, man, I'm going to get in here with a stop below the wick. And I'd get on the flight. And then I'd, come off the flight and I'd be somewhere up in here. And I'd be like, all right, I'm out. Away from the 21. I'd use my strategies. We're away from the 21. We're hitting the 200 moving average. Time to take some profit. So so again, I think I started traveling this year more than ever. And because and even the year, really started in Dubai. When I made that like 8 or 9, I think about 8-9 grand in Dubai. And so the idea was this, it was like, okay, I don't have a lot of time. I'm not going to be able to see the charts all the time. I want to sleep on the plane a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be able to stare at everything all the time. Let's be honest with myself. And so what does that mean? It means that I should trade the bigger time frames. And so I started just as the experiment one day. I said, let me just try you know, $200 or $600 on this tweezer bottom. I started small. And trades started hitting more and more. And I was like, oh man, I like this. I like this, you know, it almost felt like, I don't want to say scot-free, but it felt a little airy. Airy meaning like I didn't have to, the trade wasn't so heavy on my mind all the time. It was just like, okay, you know. Now, the only thing about that is when I make those trades, I like them to be bigger. So I either make them or I don't. Like, you know what I mean? It's not as fun. Like the smaller time frames, I can trade anything, but it's like, if I really want it to be a substantial trade, the chance someone could get in here on these higher lows, I think it's high risk. For me, it's just, it's not amazing. If we get the model back on the 1 minute, maybe. But even then, today is a sketchy day to trade, right? Hey, Sam, I was curious to know what is the next step for me for your access. Please let me know. Just supposed to email me, man. Email cryptolifers@gmail and just say, hey, yeah. Dude, close that ETH long unless you're trading a model. I don't know who he's talking about. I don't have an ETH long open, so he must be talking to someone in the chat. I'm long on ETH, riding the 21 on the 1 hour. Interesting. Hey, man, anyone could do anything they desire. I don't know. I don't tell anyone what to do with their money. I don't go over your portfolio. I won't tell you what to buy or sell. That's not me. Okay? I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say and do should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment, educational purposes, and just in real IRL. This is my real life. This is a reality TV show of my life. My wife comes in and says hi. I share my ups. I share my downs. My parents passed. This has been a reality show of a man who is attempting to go every single day of the year. Every single day of the year. Like, prim and proper, ready to go. You know, and again, ever since I quit alcohol, why not? I don't wake up hungover. Like, I'm not going to be hungover tomorrow morning. That's a fact. I know that's a fact. I'm not going to drink. And honestly, as long as you don't drink and you work out every morning, like, I mean, you're going to have so much energy. Alcohol steals your energy, my friends. It hurts every organ in the body. People downplay it and act like it's whatever. It's really whatever, but I'm done. I don't want to get into it. I love everybody, and I don't care if you drink your face off. I mean, I don't want you to, but I'm not that judgmental guy. Like, it's not on me. And you're going to find out your lifestyle how you find it out. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Everyone's going to get where they're going to be at their time. I don't want to ever force my time on someone else's time. Like, there's been two twin brothers. One drank, one quit. The one who quit might force his, you know, keep telling it, well, it's, you know, until the other brother decides it's time for him, then the first brother should leave him alone. Say your piece here and there. Show him by living. Show him your life. Show him how much better your life is, and maybe that'll catch on. That's all you got to do. Is live by example. Say what you can say when you can and leave it alone. You know? It's kind of like Bitcoin. I had family members and friends. I wanted them to get into Bitcoin. They didn't. You can't force people to do things that they don't understand. And that's what my buddy said. He said, you know, your family doesn't understand it, Sam, like you do. You understand it. It makes sense to you. They don't understand it the way you do. Tell me about it, Johnny. It's still walking in my head. Yeah, I love not drinking. I have been sober for 15 years. Best thing I've done. Wow. And see, everyone I knew that said they stopped drinking said it was the best ever. Before I quit, I was like, dang, I want what these people have. Everyone I hear keeps saying, oh, I'm in control. I love my life. You know, my kids. I have more energy. And it's funny about alcohol. It's like even me, I never really had alcohol in my house, but I was drunk to the point where I was hugging a toilet bowl, I think 500 times. Like, I definitely had like alcohol poisoning many times in my life. Like, where like I just drank so much hard alcohol, and I'm not that big, and I try to keep up with, you know what I mean? But I can eat and drink kind of big. It's weird, you know, for my body size, I can take in a lot. I'm dang near 200 pounds. I'm 191 pounds now, which is not good. I'm not fat, but I'm just, you know, I probably should be like 170. And I don't know how I got to 190. I don't. And I'm like, what? I think I'm about 5'8", 190. So like, I could be like a running back, you know? He's taught me that too, but sometimes I lack control and hit the 40x out of greed and patience. My goal for 2026 is fix that. You know, it's funny. I used to open up trades on my phone and like not really see what the, you know, I did so many stupid things. I don't do that anymore. I have to see the risk reward ratio. Everything has to be perfect. There's no trade you have to take. Repeat after me. There's no trade I have to take. There's no trade I have to take. Every trade should have a good set of preparation. I should have a set of rules before I take the trade. Should have a set of rules before I take the trade. If I don't have a set of rules and I'm rushing it, I shouldn't take the trade. If I don't have a set of rules and I'm rushing it, I shouldn't take the trade. If I can't handle the loss, I shouldn't take the risk. Say it to me after me again. If I can't, this is huge. If I can't handle the loss, I shouldn't take the risk. Say that out loud. If I can't handle the loss, I shouldn't take the risk. I've got a $5,000 account and I go 2,000 for 6,000 and I take a hit and I got $3,000 left. And I know, and so what I do now is I look at my account and I say, okay, I got 20,000. I said, if I woke up tomorrow at 19.5, would I be all right? I'm like, I can handle it. And I risk the $500. You know what I mean? But like, I know I couldn't handle 16. Like, if losing $4,000 overnight wouldn't be cool to me. See, what's weird about me is I think it's either OCD, it's whatever. I think there's something in my brain. And it's because the way I made it in my life was through slowly DCAing, and I had different accounts. Like I had one account for my trading, one account for my savings, my Bitcoin account. You know, I had all this secularness to the way I invested in my life. I can treat a $20,000 account as if it's the only thing that ever mattered to me. And so what I do is I open different accounts, my weeks, and I put 20, 30 grand in accounts. And to me, like, it's got to make money over time. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm not in a casino trying to change my life. That already happened with slow DCAing and believing in myself over time. Now I get to reap the rewards of living a life that I've created. You see what I mean? So you work really hard. You stay super disciplined. You stay super, super disciplined. You save your money as much as you can. And let me circle back. So at the beginning of the stream today, I was going to talk about how to become a multimillionaire and how I did it, and basically the blueprint. And it's and I talked about the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Okay. Very important book to read when it comes to all this. Sober year 7, blessing to all sober people in the house. God bless you, the blues guy. I love how you use wired hand-free instead of Bluetooth wireless. Oh, these things here? Yeah. I could trade the loss. I shouldn't take the trade. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I never had a drinking problem, so I never considered not drinking socially. That said, I've gone without a drink the past 3 DJ bookings I had, no drinks. People don't realize, though, if you can't just go a year without drinking, then you might have, you know what I mean? It's like, people say they don't have a drinking problem, then don't drink at all then if you don't have a drink. It's funny. It's like, alcohol is funny, man. I'm telling you. I used to drink like once a week. And I would tell you I don't have a drink. I never would put a beer in my fridge. And I tell you I don't have a drinking problem. But then there'd be nights I'd go out like on like a company party and I'd be at the bar till, and I'd be sucking down gin until I was out of my mind. And I'd go to the next bar with someone and come home at 3 a.m, just out of my mind, obliterated. And I did that so many times in my life. So I don't know, man. It was weird. It was like I had a closet alcoholic in me that came out when I was around the right type of alcohol, right type of people. It just got worse. A couple beers always led to the hard alcohol. I got into the gin. I got into it was always, I'm Irish, so it was always the JMO. The Jameson was like maple syrup, we used to call it. Like, put on the maple syrup, man. It was like, it was the Dewars. Then it got into my friends that were doing the Tullamore Dew. A shot of Tullamore Dew, man. That stuff is strong. No joke. The Irish and the Scottish blends. What is that? That rose one? Rose? It's got a rose on it. Oh my gosh, stuff is no joke. Even when you drink the alcohol, it tastes like gasoline. Like, as you're sucking it down, your body is rejecting it as if like if someone was pouring it down your throat and demanding answers, you would be like, you know what I mean? It's like torture, but we do it to ourselves. You go to the bar, take a shot with someone, and it's like, oh, put some hair on your chest, right? You just damage your organs. I don't know what happened, like how society made this a thing, That's how alcohol works, man. Misery loves company type stuff. Yeah. Yeah, put 240. Put the VRVP at 240 with a 0. Put a 0 in the settings. All right, real quick. Let me show someone because they're like, what is he saying? Hit the settings here and just put a 0. Yours is going to be at 24. Go to inputs. Put a 0 next to the 24 on the VRVP. All right, so how to become rich. Basically, how I got rich. No lie. From step by step by step. Okay. Got out of college. You got no money. What do? Well, you get a job. All right. Number one, you get an apartment that you can afford. Okay. So I split the rent with my sister. Let's say, this one was a little more expensive. Let's say like $1,900. It was $800 a month. Maybe with expenses, it was a little more. It was like maybe $1,200 together. And then I ate pretty cheap. I could eat very cheap. There was a Dominican place near my house, $5. You got a giant piece of chicken and rice. Like I could eat it twice in a day. And I regretfully did eat snack wraps in the morning sometimes at McDonald's for like $2. So I was getting I could eat for like $7, $8. Some days I just ate once a day. You know what I mean? I spent my money on unmentionables. Being honest, Anyway, so, and then I had a job. I got a job, my first job ever, and it was like, I think I was making almost, let's say, $875. I think it started like $500, but it got to like $875 a week. Which, and so I took home after taxes. I took home like what? That's times 4 is 3,200, and the 5 is another $300, right? Because so it was like $3,500 a month, right? And then I got taxed on it about, let's say, a third, which is crazy when you have no money. I got no health insurance either. It was just whatever, right? So I was making like, I don't know, $2,800, $2,700 a month. Sometimes I got a couple hours of overtime so I could get it to $3,000. And my expenses were like $1,200. So I still had like $1,400, but I usually spent it on drinking, or I had a credit card where I would, and then I'd have to pay it off. Buy things I didn't, and my credit card debt eventually went up. It's like, so anyway, I'm in this position. How did I get out of this position? Everyone's in this position. Like this was my position. How did I get out of this position? My dad didn't hand me money. Nobody wrote me a paycheck, and no one gave me a job. My uncle, I didn't know my uncle. I didn't call a family friend. I didn't phone a friend. I lived in New York City by myself. Anyone could have done what I did. All right. You could say I'm a little charming. You could say I had blonde hair and blue eyes, and I played the part. But I didn't always. I used to grow my hair long. I looked kind of scary. I rode a motorcycle. I looked like Jax Teller, people used to tell me. And I actually was off-putting in a way. Like, I kind of didn't like society. I worked a night shift. I didn't use my, my looks to my advantage, actually. But whatever, I'm just trying to say it because people say whatever, fine. I'm privileged, this and that. I'm still white in America. Fine, yeah. Hey, I'll take it all. Agreed. I'm not going to say I'm not, right? I'm not in a third world country. But so this is my life. So I was able, even at the very first stages of my life, I lived with my sister. We split the rent, and there was a way for me to save money. Now, during this time, I lost my job. I remember in 2008, 2009 housing crisis, I got laid off. And I started collecting unemployment, and it was very small. I can't remember exactly what I got, but it was I think it was like $400 or $500 a month. It was like $2,000 a month. But at that point, I had moved to another place where my rent actually had dropped a little bit to about $750 a month. Then my older sister moved in, and it was $1,500 for us three, and my rent went down to $500 a month. Okay. So now I'm living with both my sisters. I think I'm about 27, 28 years old at this point. All right. I have a girlfriend. It's my wife that I met when I got out of college when I was 22. We've been getting together now. Yeah, let's think. I did 3 years in the Spanish Harlem apartment. Then I moved in 2 years with my sister. Yeah, so I'm about 27 years old at this point, and I'm living with my sisters in a 3-bedroom in a home in Queens, right near Queens Boulevard. On 58th Lane, if I remember. And it was above a guy. I had issues with, I don't even want to get into that, whatever. It happened. Like, I got kicked out eventually, but whatever, who cares, But I did get kicked out of that place eventually. The guy he was horrible. But anyway, at this point, I don't know Bitcoin yet, right? It's 2010 or 9. Yeah, I remember when I got kicked out, I was living in that house when I got laid off. So I got laid off my first real job ever. And I was doing real estate before that, which I should have stuck with, but I decided to take this job, which then laid me off 18 months later. So my first job ever, within about a year and a half, I get laid off from. Maybe it was 2.5 years, something like that. And I knew I didn't like corporate America. I should have had my own business. Anyway, I did stuff on the side as a cameraman. I had a camera. I started another side business. Then I got unemployed. I took unemployment. And for 9 months, I started a side business. I met Stephon Marbury. I met Twister. I met Jadakiss. I met all these celebrities. I was getting brought into the club. One of my good friends, his sister, had dated Stephon Marbury for like 3 to 4 years. They got pretty close. So he had met him on numerous occasions. Then he was able to reach out to him. He had his number, said, we're starting this little media company. And he goes, oh, come out with me. You guys can film me. He figured it was free press for him. It looked like he had a crew. And we got into all these exclusive places. So I'm 28, hanging out with Stephon Marbury. I put a suit on. I put like 2 or 3 suits at Macy's, like $600-800 Alfani suits. You know, it's just so I look nice. I put them on my credit card. And I got pocket squares and suits. I'm looking fly. And I'm just going everywhere. And I say I'm a media company. We're doing behind the scenes. We started this company called Industry Exclusive. It was on YouTube and everything. We started getting views. We started learning how to monetize the internet. DJ Vlad, if everyone knows who he was, I used to sew up where he was. He had a very small following at the time. And he would look at me because he was getting all these exclusive back. And I started showing up and getting like some of the same interviews or being with it. And he was like, who are these guys? Like, how are they getting in where I'm in? He's huge now, right? I saw him, he turned into like multi-millionaire. Anyway, so I did that. That blew up in my face. I don't want to get into it too much, but there was like, you know, talks of diamonds and money. And I went to all these crazy big meetings with really rich people. And I might even done a big deal and got cut out of it. I don't know. It's a long story. I'm not going to get into it. But I ended up back on the night shift after all this. After all this, I ended up back on the night shift, which is kind of crazy, making $175 a night. I left this job at Red Car with all this, you know what I mean? And I'm making $175 a night, right? It was really sad, honestly, if you think about it. I was 30 years old. I've been laid off of my first job I got finally from like 24 to 27. Yeah, man, it was like, yeah, now I'm like 29 and a half, right? So I've been unemployed for like almost a year. I did start a business with my buddy when I was unemployed. Like we were running around, but like, you know, it didn't turn out into anything. I was supposed to turn that into money so I didn't have to go back to work. Eventually I didn't make it happen. I gave up on myself. I should have kept entrepreneuring, but it didn't. And I went back to $175 a night. At like 30 years old, 29 or something. And there I am again, only making like $3,500 a year, you know. Again, my rent is now only $500. As I told you, it's now gone down. Then we move into another place that was a little more. I think it was like $1,800. So my rent went back up to $600, but it was only like $600. And I lived there with my sisters again for a couple years. At this point, I start researching how to save money, and I realize I really have to start investing. I have to learn the stock market. I have to, you know what I mean? And I start to buy gold and silver. I start looking at, you know what I mean? And I start doing that, you know? And what I do is I start reading books now about millionaires and billionaires. The internet starts taking off now. It gets bigger. It's like 2012. And I start realizing, you know, you got to make money off the internet. And so everything kind of started coming together. And I started being like, okay. And I started saving money. I started realizing I was like now 30. I was going to be 30 and broke. And I looked at a lot of my friends. They had gotten somewhere. 2 of my friends started a company. They were millionaires by now. It looked like big things were happening to them. And I was still kind of behind. And I said, what do I do now? How do I make this happen? Like, what do I do? And so I knew you had to save money. And my dad kept telling me, you got to save money. Every time I talked to my dad, are you saving money? He didn't really have a lot of advice for me. He didn't know a lot, but he did tell me that he was a good saver. And my dad was good with money. He kept what he had. He multiplied what he had. He could have done even better. He got kind of into a comfort zone. I think he could have been way richer, but he did. Who knows? I don't even want, you know, for where he came from and what he did, my dad did great. He died a millionaire. Him and my mother died, you know, with more than a few million together. So they did great. They worked really hard. They never gave me a dime till they passed, and it all came in as kind of as real estate. So... And still dealing with that too, because we're juggling 3 properties, me and my sisters. But that's, you know, that's a blessing. So the whole point is my parents, you know, my dad just kept saying, are you saving money? And I could never ask my dad for money. Never. I couldn't say, hey, Dad, could you send me some money? Because then he would think something was wrong. He's like, how's your job? How's your job doing? He would ask. Did you ask for a raise? How you been? What do you know? I'd be like, oh, I'm making this much. He's like, all right, that's enough. As long as, you know, can you save money? I said, yeah, all right, well, fine. No complaints. Just keep moving forward. He said, as long as you can push the boat a little. And again, I had a dad. I know there's other people they couldn't call and they didn't have someone. My dad's like, I believe in you. Just save your money. You'll find the right investment. Something will happen. He used to tell me before Bitcoin, you'll find it. I know you. You're smart. You'll make the right play at the right time, Sam. Have faith. God will lead you. He said, ye have little faith, he would say to me. Have some faith in yourself, he would say. He said, I have more faith in you than you would ever know. I remember being really lost in New York City at 29 years old. Like worried about my future, not understanding how I was ever going to make it out of this one-bedroom apartment. Kind of bewildered by life, not being my best friend, talking negatively, feeling paranoid a lot, and a lot of anxiety, you know. And my dad would just tell me, like, have some faith, man. And, like, I guess sometimes that's all I needed to hear, you know. And if you didn't have a dad or, you know, you struggle, I hope that you hear me now. Have some faith, you know. So anyway, I want to finish this story as we end the year. Just these live streams are a little different towards the end of the year because price. I told you it's a sketchy day to trade. All right, you can go we're watching price action too on top of it all. We're watching this flag. We're sideways. Nothing has really changed in the last 20 minutes since I've spoken to you. Okay, just the odds that this breaks down to me are there. That's it. If we get above the 200, there's a chance we can make a move. That's what we're watching on the 1 minute. If you're just coming in. Now I'm explaining how anyone can become a multimillionaire, you know? So what I did is I started saving money. You know, I got my rent. So then I eventually left that place. So I'm making $600. I was able to save money. The point of the story is now I'm making $3,500 a month. After taxes, I'm bringing in like 28, 27 maybe. And there's an overtime here and there that I'm getting. And, you know, my expenses are about $1,000. I have $1,800 a month to spend. And somebody said, that's horrible. Like, you could spend $400 a week. And yeah, it wasn't amazing. I'm not saying, you know, a lot of days I sat inside. I watched the movie. I didn't fly places. I didn't have vacations. I didn't get on a plane when everyone else I knew was going places. When I looked at Instagram, whatever, you know, I didn't have that life. I wore Costco's clothes, you know. I went to Costco's and I bought in bulk. I saved my money. But hey, that was $1,800 right there that I could put into the stock market or I could put into my savings. Somehow through all that, I got to 40 grand. You know what I mean? And like I don't even know how long. It took a couple years. And then I started investing in the stock market. I would lose 15,000 of it at one point, which is really sad. You know? And then I would learn about gold and silver. And then I started buying gold and silver. And then I amassed like 40 grand of that. Then I started trading gold and silver. You know, next thing you know, I had a knack for trading. You know, I started buying stocks even during this period, like, you know, some Apple, some small stocks, but I didn't really know what I was doing through my 20s. And when I was like 28, 29 is when I really just decided I had to start saying, like, when I would get this guilty feeling, like if I didn't do something about my finances, I was going to end up broke as hell, man. And then I would look at those like Roth IRAs, like you got to save this if you put this much away. And I was like, all right, man, like, I don't know what else to do, but I got to do something. If Bitcoin didn't come around, I mean, I'd be where everyone else is. I guess maybe not. Maybe there's a chance that I would have started a business. Something else would have happened for me. And someone said I would have got lucky. But, you know, and so then I started investing in gold and silver. Then I started trading it. Then I made a pretty nice trade, $2,000 to like $9,000 on Great Panther Limited. Changed my life. I realized that's how people make money. Like it was only 2,000 to 8,000, but for me, it was the biggest win I ever had. It was like, and it was the first or second swing trade of my life. It was the first time I really opened up an account on the Toronto Stock Exchange, because I kept getting emails about these Toronto Stock Exchange coin, you know, these miners, but I didn't have access to them. They were on the Toronto Stock, so I had to open up an international broker's account on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Once I did that, I got access to different markets around the world, and then it's go crazy. I had to transfer my money up there. I was nervous, man. I'm transferring $10,000 up to the Toronto Stock Exchange, $6,000. I don't even, you know. And I don't know if it's going to go well. I don't know if I'm going to lose it all. I know, but I'm like, hey, man, I got to do something different than what I've been doing. You know what I mean? And I just kept taking shots, everybody, like some real big shots in my life. I kept reading, you know, the only risk is not taking a risk at all. Every single billionaire and millionaire took a big risk. I said, man, what's the worst? I kept thinking losing money was the end of my life. And I kept saying, you're still alive, man. Like, there's still food, bro. You can go to a bread line if you have to. Like, there's food out there. Like, if you really need to get food, like, you can go to a shelter and, like, find a meal. Like, I said, man, like, New York City has food, bro. Like, I see these, you know, there's a way to get food. And I started talking to myself, like, man, you don't need all these things they tell you need. You can get by on one pair of jeans, a couple shirts. Like, you don't need 5 pairs. You don't need all this stuff that you don't need to have watches. And the thing is, I was never in love with material things. Thank the Lord. My mom love nature and took me on nature hikes. My dad rode his bike a lot. They showed me, sailboats, and I was always in nature. So thank God my love of nature really kept me away from my love. My love of nature is so much stronger than my love for material things. Like I drive my Lamborghini. Yes, it's cool. But most of the time I drive it and I look out and I like it because I'm connected to nature. Just because the top is open and the sun is hitting me. The other day I said the main reason I like this car is because I feel like I'm outside in this car. It's just like nature is amazing to me. Like a bike ride to me is so fun. Like if you want to do if you hang out with me and you want to do the funnest thing ever for me, it's a bike ride through some cool nature, man. Let's go bike ride together. I don't care if it sounds gay or corny. I don't care, man. Like I love bike riding. I love moving my body, sweating just enough, having a good time with people that I love, man. I want to work out, I want to play soccer on the beach. I want to play frisbee. You gotta have fun, man. So anyway, back to, so there I am, right? So you can kind of see my story now. And I keep making more money. Eventually, I do get a raise, right? Then I get 200. As the years go by, I get put into the union now. And now I'm making $375 a day, right? Which is great now. Think about it. So now I was able to manage back then so I figured out a way to make $175 a day, then 200. Now I'm making $375 a day. Okay? Now I'm making $1,875 a week. Heck, you know what I mean? And other ways too, I learned how to become a corporation, and I changed the way I receive payment. Everything changed for me. Everything. You times that by 4. Now I'm making 75. And then me and my wife move in to an apartment together. I get married, and I get into the union, and my pay. So now I'm making, and then with some little bit of overtime, I make about $8,000 a month. Right? Times 12, right? I was in the 90s. I was making $96,000 a year, and I was still on a night shift. The night shift just took over a union job, and they put me on it. When I had my first child, I was still working a night shift, and I worked that night shift for 5 years, 6 years straight, until it turned into something more. So I turned a $175 a night job. All right, so I started at $175 a night times 5. Okay, times 4 times 12. So I was making $42,000 a year, and 4 to 5 years later, I was making $96,000 a year, and they were doubling it with a pension in the union. I was in the union. I still have that pension for me later on at one point. It's like $30,000 or so. I don't know. It's something. It's sitting somewhere. I was vested. I did 10,000 hours in the union as a assistant editor in the Motions Pictures Editors Guild. So because I did this night shift, they got a show at this, whatever the place I was at, they got a show on the union, and then they had basically what happens is production companies hire you, you work for them, and they get a show on the union. They have to put you, so they needed people to join the union to work for them. So I inherently got gobbled into the union by working for them. And boom, my life changed. And so it took 5 years, but I doubled my income. You see, I went from 42 to 96, but I never really, I doubled my, when me and my wife moved in, the rent was $1,450, and I paid the whole rent. At first, because she got pregnant pretty fast once we got married, and I didn't want anyone to raise my kids, so I paid the whole rent. But I was making $8,000, so I made after taxes, I took home like $6,200 or something. And again, all my expenses were like $2,500. So there I am again, one man in New York City. And so all I did, my dad taught me this. So while everyone else focused on everyone else and their money and like where they were, like, oh, I need a car, So you'd say, well, how did you get around? Didn't you need a car? Don't people need expenses? Yeah. Yeah. So what I did is I bought a used motorcycle for $2,500. Okay. I used Harley Davidson. That lasted me. I sold it 8 years later for $1,400. I really did. I sold it 8 years later for $1,400. I did have to put, I think, about almost like $1,600 into a buck to fix it at one point. So fine, it cost me $4,000 in total. I didn't, I put tires on it once, you know what I mean? I didn't have to do a lot of maintenance. I kept it, in the wintertime, it sat for a couple months a year, and then I took it back out. So bang, I saved a lot of money there. I really did. The gas was so cheap. And then we ended up leasing a Hyundai Elantra for $175. When I eventually got my first car, we leased, so I had my motorcycle and we leased a car. And we did that for years, man. For 4 years, you know what I mean? And then we got a Santa Fe. Eventually I leased better cars as I got more money, but I leased Hyundais because Hyundais were inexpensive and had the best 10-year warranty. You see? So like I didn't care. People had Mercedes, people had BMWs. I never cared what someone else had. It didn't matter to me. That stuff, my dad taught me that it didn't matter what everyone else had. Look, there's the dump. It looks like we're going to dump to me down the bear flag. At least to the double bottom at 86, but I'm eyeing 85.3. Bitcoin looks bearish to me today. Okay, so you can see I kept raising my income. I worked the same job for 6 years straight. I showed up every day. I didn't complain. You know, one time I made a big mistake and got messed up and they gave me a break because I was pretty consistent and I never made a mistake. But I was there every night when I was said I was, and I did what I was supposed to do. 99% of the time, I was very dependable. That dependability got me to stay in that company and then led to what you could call lucky. I got into the union. One of the lucky, most people never got into the union the way I did. And right when I got into the union, we had a child, right when I needed more money. You know? Yeah. So like, this is my life, everyone. Like, this is my, and then I watched YouTube for years and desired to be on YouTube. And I planned it in my head and I said, one day I'm going to be on YouTube and I'm going to like get out of this job I'm at. And then I watched Mitch Ray and then I said I could do what he's doing. And then I moved into TA and then I kept doing what I do. And then somehow, some way, God gave me the skills, the power, the drive. You know, then Bitcoin went up huge, man. And all my investments in Bitcoin ripped. And that made me a multimillionaire in Bitcoin, right? And then other things happened to me. And then real estate. Then I started buying real estate. Then I made money in the market and I bought real estate with it. You know? Then my business, you know, exploded too as well because I made great calls. So people wanted to be around me and hear what I had to say. They wanted to be in the Discord. They could see I was calling Bitcoin at 6 grand to 20 grand, everyone. You watch my channel, I'm drawing Bitcoin at 6,000 saying it's on the way to 20 grand. I didn't just start doing this. I have calls that go back to, you know, at $6,000 Bitcoin to 20,000. And you see me hit the call. You're like, dang, this guy hit that. Like, you know, there's a lot of YouTubers out here that look kind of like me and I kind of fall into place with them. I've been doing this way longer than them. I've been at this for so long, folks. And that's why I tell people, man, don't get discouraged about your journey to being your first $1 million. It's going to be dang hard. But once you get there, think about it, you're out. It's kind of like, you know, escaping prison, you know. It might be super hard, but once you have to do the whole thing. And once you crawl out, and you push, you know, through the dirt, they tunnel out, and you're out. You're out. You know, it might take forever to get out. Once you're out, you're out. Once you finally break out of the rat race, like, you don't go backwards. Because hopefully all the things that you did to build yourself up to get there, you still have. You see what I'm saying? So you don't go backwards. Today, everyone, I'd be super careful. Look, we're watching the 1 minute to see if it's going to bounce here. In a bear flag, looking like 83, 85, 333 is the target. So again, today's going to be super, super slow. Be careful. It's not going to be an amazing day to trade. Low volume. But look, we're touching the 21 on the other side of the 200, which is a catalyst for a move to the upside. Kind of look at it like a bull flag. See, look at that. So save money and make that money make money in the key. Not to spend all of what you have. Once you break up, it's only up. Ain't no baloney. Shout out to Jason Casper, man. Jason, what do you think of the story? Were you here to hear the whole story? I don't know. I've been talking for like a half an hour, but I wanted to kind of tell people like how long I was poor for, or, you know, and what I did to get. And I was an assistant editor, everyone. I worked on computer screens, organizing footage for the editors, getting everything ready, grouping it by time code, a painstaking job that took hours. Okay. Just bought a 2005 Nissan Armada yesterday for my Christmas to myself. 164,000, runs real good, 3 grand. Hey, that's all you need, man, to get there. That was a great story, Tam. So inspirational. Nothing better than being hungry and God shows you the dumpster with a delicious potato and a hamburger casserole, baklava behind an Italian restaurant. Amen. I like this story, bro. You're an inspiration. You too, man. I heard you ate people's food at a diner. I don't want to talk about the story, but I remember you telling me once you called it like, you called it something, stranger food or something. I don't know. I never did that in my life. So I thought about that the other day. I was like, man, he's been low. You know what I mean? Again, my lowest point was like unemployment and not, you know what I mean? But I never had to like, you know. Anyway, man, you were like on the road too. So maybe a little different. But Yeah, what else can I add to the story, man? So then the night shift turned to a day shift. I stayed inside the union. I got union connections, and I never had to work for less than, $1,800 a week again for the rest of my life after that. And then I started making then I got into a more high profile show. I think my last job, I was able to get them to give me $2,200 a week before overtime, So when I finally and again, not amazing, right? But fine, I got to 105, and then with overtime, sometimes I got to be in 15 and 20. I worked for Kevin Can Wait, and that was a very high profile job. Sometimes I got 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, and it was $47.50 an hour. But then after 10 hours, it was time and a half, and so the first 8 hours was $47.50. All right. I just want to show you, this was a good job. I had my own little office. It was in Long Island. I had to drive my car to work, but so $47.50 times 8. I just want to remember these times. So $380 for my first 8 hours, right? But then the next 2 hours, right? You times 0.5, right? Isn't that right? Yeah. Plus $47.50. So the next 2 hours were 77. So you'd had 380 plus 140, and then they would keep me for 12. That would be double time. You add another, that's basically a little, about $200. So you get the 380 plus the 180 plus the 70. Oh, 380. Sorry, hold on. 380 plus the 180 plus the 70. Yeah, so then I was making $630 a day. You times that by 5, right? I was making $3,000 a week. You times that by 4, 12. You times that by 12. I was cleaning $150,000 a year there. But that job only lasted 9 months, and then you would get time off. Huh? Come here, say what you had to say.
It's time to go.
What did you say?
It's time to go.
Who are you? State your name and place.
I'm Summer Price.
Yeah.
I live in Florida.
Okay.
And my dad is the best dad in the world.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe.
Remember you used to say that all the time, even when you were 5. She said, Dad, it's time to go. You know what I mean? My wife sends the kids in when I talk too long on the stream. 12 o'clock, they're on me. They're like, all right, 10 to 12, that's what you get, Sam. Now it's time to hang out with the family. And they're right. It's family time. It's family time. But these are important stories, man. I want to inspire people with my life and with my journey. So, yeah, I took a job that was paying me $46,000 a year, and I took that knowledge. I kept doing the same thing, assistant editing. I just got better at it, learned more. And towards the end, I was making $150,000. Not all the time, though. See, that's the thing about this job. Then the show would end up on another job. And maybe the next year, I'd only make 96. I wouldn't get as much overtime. Sometimes, as I got older, then I didn't want to work so much overtime. I wanted to spend time with my family and kids, my family. And these jobs were hard. I'd come in at 12 sometimes and leave at 8 and 10 at night because, my schedule was different. I'd leave a lot of times at night. Towards the end, it was good. They paid for my cabs. They paid for really high-end meals. I got fancy meals delivered from good restaurants. I was making a high hourly wage. It could have, but my eyes were getting burnt out. My job was extremely stressful. I couldn't make a mistake because in TV, you got to deliver things on time, right? It has to go on TV. So you can't say oh, we'll figure it out next week or no. It has to get done. There's no telling your boss you couldn't do it. And sometimes we did hit a snag. Sometimes things weren't perfect and we had to figure it out on our own. And nobody knew how hard it was except for me and the guy working with me. And there was the $1 million show on our back. And if we did it wrong, we were going to get fired. So my job was so crazy because if I made one mistake, I was so close to always getting fired. As good as I was, I had to constantly be perfect. I couldn't, it was like being a golfer that never can go over par. I sometimes could go over par if no one was looking, but I had to correct it in time. Sometimes we made mistakes, but because we both triple checked our work, we'd catch it and we'd fix it and it wouldn't go down the line. Very hard job to understand or explain, but it was insanely intense and it took it was nuts. So happy I don't do it anymore. It was painstaking. I used to pray to God, I have to find out a way out of this. It's burning my eyes. It's burning my time. It's not easy, So remember, I started just like everybody here on the stream, and people probably might be in a better place than me. I don't know. But I started, man. I took that job on Mandy.com. I went to Mandy.com. Mandy. It's where you can sign up for gigs. Okay? I didn't have a friend. I didn't know anybody. I went to Mandy.com. And I got my first job off the internet. Like I didn't, like my sister called one person that gave me one job. So my sister did hook me up. A few times my older sister was in the industry and but it wasn't like, she couldn't, you know, she didn't have huge power or position. And I kind of went a different way too. So as much as connection she had, it didn't have as much leeway in my industry. Like she was into TV and into commercials. I was into like reality TV and like production more of like, you know, it was just a different genre. So everyone, like you find a job, you work your butt off. You keep working that job until you get better at it. Then you learn about investing and you research as much as you can. This is what I did. And then I research. And then as I made more money, I didn't spend more money to impress other people. I didn't care what people thought of me. I stayed super humble for a long time. Now I get to floss my butt off, man. I get to pull up with a Lambo to the valet. It's crazy, man. And they take the key, you know what I mean? And they're like, hey, Mr. Price. I go to the country club. They say my name. They have a table waiting for me with my family. We have brunch on Sundays. It's insane. I'm telling you right now, I live a life that I would never believe even years ago. Florida, sunny every day. Today's going to be a beautiful day in Florida. It's 75 degrees today. Like, if you were to say, what's the perfect weather I'd like to have? 78, 77. Like, today is going to be 77 degrees. My sister's in town. I love you all. I got to go. My sister's in town. I got to pick her up from the airport. I actually forgot that I have to pick my sister up from the airport right now. I'm very excited to see my sister. Everyone, I love you. Bitcoin doesn't look amazing. It's sideways and likely going to dump. I see 85,300 as the target. If we cross the 200 in the 1 minute, you know what to do, my lifers. But if not, just consider yourself cooked on this day after Christmas. And options expiring today at 3 o'clock. They might dip it all the way down here and then rip it right back. It could go to 85 and back to 95 today. Just be super careful. Maybe we'll catch a model, but you could take care of the volatility. I don't know. It depends on you. Good day to spend time with your family, hang out, and enjoy yourself. Everyone, I love you. I appreciate you all. Who enjoyed this story today? I have a twin sister, everyone. I'm going to go pick up my twin sister. Who enjoyed the story today? Who had a good time with the lifer? Stay blessed, stay amazing. I love each and every one of you. May God bless everybody here on the live. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with a beautiful live stream. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay blessed, stay amazing. I'll see you on the flip side. I actually live a real life outside of the stream. I know it doesn't seem real, but I do. I really do. I actually drive cars and go places. It's nuts. You would never believe it. I'll see you all tomorrow. Stay blessed, stay amazing. Thank you. Shout out to Discotech NYC. We love you. That's my sister's company, everyone. Check out Discotech NYC on Instagram. Just Google them. You'll find them. Discotech. See, disco right here. This is my people right here. Hit them up, all right? Hit them up. Actually, let's see. We can go to their channel, and you can go from there. But hit them up. Subscribe to them right here. This is my sister and her partner, man, together, and they hang out all the time. So Discotech, man, NYC, check them out. Check them out. Oh, yeah, I had the screen up, actually. I had the screen up. Where was it? Discotech NYC. I went it. I clicked on the name here. Oh, yeah, here, look. I learned a lot. Go to the channel. We love you. We love you. Hook them up, but they're mainly on Instagram. You know what I mean? So they haven't been on YouTube as much, but check them out. Discotech NYC. All right, I got to go. Showing one sister love. I got to go pick up my other sister. Man, it's all about the sisters today. If you have sisters, man, you're blessed. They've been good to me. I love you all. Stay amazing. Stay blessed. God bless my mom, Daisy. Irene Price, Gossip, and my dad, Jim Price. They were amazing people. They really gave me a great life. I love you all. Stay blessed, stay amazing, stay awesome. Remember, the secret to success is getting started. You're not going to be great to start, but you got to start to be great, baby. I love you all. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.